Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. And I have a great segment for you all today, a thoughtful segment with IronWireMartialArts. And I think that you can benefit from it, or I hope that you can benefit from it. So, when studying martial arts, there's a phenomena that's happening in this age with social media, YouTubers, and everybody being a star. The old ways are changing. We have new ways now. You don't necessarily need to go to a professor anymore, and people don't really necessarily study exact styles. I mean, they can, but what I mean is there's this phenomena of like self-defense clubs. It's just a self-defense club. It's not, we do have a history, but it's not like a traditional system. It's not like you're going to learn, an ancient formula passed down through this generation. A lot of times it's, these are the most effective stuff from my experience in the military, my experience out in the field, or this is what works best. And they're just self-defense courses. And you come in, you learn self-defense, and that's it. Learn how to fight for the street. And that's different. I want to stress that when you have a self-defense course, all of that material now let me make this abundantly clear, also with sport fighting, all of that material has been taken from traditional systems. Traditional systems are the forefathers, are the foundation to this material that has either been weaponized, extracted, extrapolated, and then reformulated together to suit the needs of a normal society or the combat in your society or in the society that they're facing, or for urban environments. So it's this new thing. So usually when one would master a traditional system or reaches, 20 mark, 30-year mark, or just a really high, development through intense practice and observation and interaction with their martial art, usually that should happen organically. So let's say Wing Chun. At a high level of Wing Chun, your street knowledge should be pretty good, or you should be at the point where you could start extrapolating and making it your own. And with that comes a syllabus, a curriculum. A traditional system usually has a syllabus, a curriculum. And that knowledge has been developed and worked over by many masters, many generations. Or it could be even recent, born usually out of conflict. But the syllabus is important, and it should review and go over what could be useful for today. The syllabus is your heritage, and that usually follows with history, cultures, food, and tradition, the old ways. That's a traditional martial art. And we have the self-defense, and then we have sport fighting. All three different areas. And nowadays people can go to YouTube, watch another master, take some of their techniques, put it out there on their own material, and call it a day. Again, I want to stress that on my channel, I don't judge. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're able to make a living doing that, if you're able to make your way through life doing that, if you're able to gain popularity doing that, then more power to you. I want to stress, however, that when you meet a real coach, somebody who's doing it for the love and the passion of the art and to spread the art, the experience is different. It's not just a situation of what ifs. What if I'm in this situation? What if I'm in that situation? It's not just scenario driven. about the student learning about the roots, the cultural heritage, and climbing the tree of knowledge. And in essence, going through the transformation of oneself, the shedding of one's ego, and the climbing to the higher pinnacle, essentially of themselves, and along with it, the fighting tradition. So the old ways can really benefit from learning from these new traditions. There are some things that should always be secret and handed on only from to a worthy disciple. And just to touch base on that is the higher level knowledge really cannot be transmuted over the internet. It should be done in the company of great warriors, great practitioners, and great martial artists. I think you can learn a tremendous amount from YouTube, a tremendous amount from books, but I'm talking about the finer energies should be at the foot of a master. I'm not saying this to disparage your training. I'm not saying this to dissuade you from developing your own system. As a matter of fact, I implore you to do so. However, what I am saying with this podcast is that if you come face to face with a Sifu, a Pendekar, a master, a Magdatulo, a teacher, a great grandmaster who has superior knowledge, be humble enough to be respectful, and if you have the opportunity, to learn. And when you learn, it's not just a syllabus of what if. It's not blind techniques. You're looking for the root. You are always seeking the root of what you are doing. So in the syllabus, in the techniques, it's not completely randomized, or at least if you're dealing with a master, it is not completely randomized. It is purposeful, and at the bottom of those techniques, at the core of those techniques, there is an inner working, an inner methodology. That is what I constantly stress. The inner workings of the how, the why. It's not to be mystified by the history. History should be good. It should be a part of it, but it should not hypnotize you or take your mind so far away from fantasizing about historical facts that you're missing the point. History should be a part of it. You should feel the heritage, and that's what it should serve you. And the lessons from the teachers should serve you, but it should not blind you to what is happening. The ego should not blind you. Even learning from a master should not blind you to actually look at the teaching and the material itself and observe what is being presented. When you spend time with the master, the being in awe of his or her presence will take effect for many, many years, only until after you're able to look at the material and listen to what they are saying. Listen to what they are saying. Observe it. Look at it. Absorb the information. Work with it. Interact with it. And then start to ask real questions. And real questions. What are real questions in martial arts? Real questions come from when one starts interacting. Not just simply coming to class and listening to what your teacher says and then doing that. Real questions come from your interaction with it. Not, oh yeah, I've been learning this martial arts and there was a scenario where it didn't work. Well, listen. Your interaction, your personal interaction is necessary to make not only this stuff work, but to make it come alive. You are not a drone. You must listen for years and practice for years, and then through your interaction, you yourself start asking questions. You yourself start exploring ideas, and then you take those ideas and questions to a qualified master. And at that point, the martial art, at that point, when your creativity interacts with the material being presented, and you have had a long enough time to absorb the foundations, that is when the martial art becomes alive. Everything else is just the initiation. All of that other stuff is the initiation. And that is what we call an inner door student. Somebody who has been around the material and interacted with it enough. You know, you're going to find this in your journey. Oh, I've been here for 30 years. I demand respect. I'm a 30-year student. You might be a 30-year student, but you have a 5-year skill level. You spend more time developing your ego than you have your technique or your understanding of how combat actually works at its core. What is the real essence of what is being taught? What are the principles? How can I put those principles together with foundational techniques to make this work for improvisation, where my creativity interacts with the art? How can I use it improvisationally? How can I build upon it? How can I create my own material from working with this? These questions expand your mind. These questions expand your art. And that is when you become a practitioner yourself. In forms, in drills, and in fighting, and in weapons. This is my idea of what an initiate means in the world of martial art, a practitioner. So keep that with you. And even though you're learning a self-defense system or a sport system, listen, that stuff is great. But also, if you're a fanatic of martial arts, look for a real master of a traditional system as well. And you're going to see a lot of phonies because there's a lot of people that need to put food on their plate. There's a lot of people who just want to run a business. But then there are some people who give their heart and soul to the teachings and what they've learned to the betterment of the art. And look for those people, the people who are on the daily grind with the students in the gym or sharing their real information out into the world. Thank you. I'm Sifu Jacob with IronWire Martial Arts.